Well, welcome everyone, and welcome to this episode of Aging with Attitude. I'm guest hosting for Phil Collins. My name is Keith Dennis, and I am so glad that you come to watch our program this evening. And I have two wonderful guests. One has been on our program many, many times, you may know, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I have Dan Stark and Connie Smeagol, and they're going to talk about what they do, and what they do has to do with things that are going to help you protect yourself. So Dan, if you just kind of talk a little bit.
First of all, it's an honor to be here. We're heading into my favorite time of the year, the holiday seasons. I mean, this is Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of the Yom Kippur, everybody, and my concern is people find themselves doing things during the next couple of months that they don't normally do during the rest of the year. And we become real targets for criminals, okay? We talk self-protection and self-defense, okay? Self-protection is the things that you do before you get into a problem. That's really kind of what I want to focus on tonight. You know, we're talking about holiday travel, hosting a Christmas party, attending a Christmas party, going Christmas shopping. All of these things make us vulnerable. And I look at Connie when she's out in public, and it concerns me because she's an attractive woman and she's a easy target for criminals. So Connie, address what it is when you do and out shopping and how you best protect yourself.
Well, first of all, I always know my route. I always know where I'm going to go. I'm always very conscious as to where I park. I try to get as close to where I'm going and park so that's convenient. And I try to park, and Dan has always really been on me to do this, but to pull into a parking space so I'm facing out. And if I can't, then I try to back in. And for a while there, backing in was difficult. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with it. But backing into my parking space, this way I'm not so vulnerable. When I do have my trunk open, I'm loading my packages in. I feel that I'm more contained, and I certainly can see my surroundings. And I always pay attention to where I'm going, always. I'm not on my cell phone, and I'm paying attention. Basically, I know my exits. If I'm going to some place that I'm not too familiar with, I try to, know those exits. And I carry only the things that I really care about, that I know that I'll need for that day. I'll specifically clean out my wallet. Maybe I'll just take a little zippered case. If I know I'm going to a specific store, I might take that credit card, some cash with me, some ID. But, and I also am very careful not to leave my car information in the glove compartment. Many times when people are observing shoppers coming and going, they know that obviously they'll be away from their vehicle for a while. So then they'll go and break in, they'll steal your information, they'll know where you live, they know you're going to be gone for a while. And so...
Right, and I want to kind of talk about that because when we go Christmas shopping, first of all, let's look at the issue. What we here is, the role we play in the world of the criminals is we're inventory, okay? And criminals are predators, and when a criminal goes out to commit a crime, that criminal knows where they're going to go, how they're going to get there, what they're going to try to take, how they're going to get away, what they're going to do with what they take. But the critical part of the equation is they know what they're willing to do to you to get what they need, and they don't care about the fact that you're somebody's father, husband, brother, whatever. And my goal is to get people, first of all, if they do nothing else watching this show, is to think about their vulnerabilities. And as Connie mentioned, when she goes shopping, she backs into a parking space or drives through. That just makes you less vulnerable getting in and out of your car. It also makes it easier to effectively have an exit strategy. You get in your car and get out of Dodge. Now, a lot of mistakes I see women will go shopping and they'll get loaded down with bags, okay? And rather than lug them through the mall, they'll walk out to the car, put them in the trunk of their car, lock it, and go back in. That's the worst thing you can do. If you're going to do that, you go out, put it in your car, lock it in the trunk, take your car and move. Wow. Drive to the other side of the mall. Because the people in that section of the parking lot who are watching are waiting for you to leave your goodies in the car. They don't have to go around and break into every car to find something. They know specifically in your trunk and that you're heading back in, so they know where, and they know they have a certain amount of time. But if you get in your car and drive off, they don't know if you're going home, going to a restaurant. They're not going to follow you. They're just going to wait for the next piece of inventory.
Right.
So
Well,
it may be a little inconvenient, but it's a lot less inconvenient than having your stuff broken into.
Well, that's something that I hadn't ever thought about. I can just think of the number of times I have done that because you're shopping.
And most
convenient.
people do.
It's convenient, yeah.
Most people do.
So you're basically saying that you take if you need to, put it in a trunk, don't put it in the back of your car, put it in a trunk, but then actually drive away and then just go to the other side of the park.
Right, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's hard to find a parking spot. It's a lot easier to find a parking spot than have to sit and wait for the police to come and file a police report. I had a woman just take a concealed weapons class from me recently, a 61-year-old woman who was shopping in one of the high-dollar malls here, and as she approached her car, two thugs came out instantly from behind her car and approached her. Fortunately, this woman had a plan. When she left her house that day, she said, I'm available, I'm accessible, I'm vulnerable. What will I do to protect myself? When they approached her, she reached in her purse, took out a gun, and pointed at them. That stopped them. They turned around and ran away. Every year in this country, 3 to 4 million people use firearms to protect and defend themselves. Less than 8% of those people ever have to pull the trigger. Because I believe that a firearm is a great equalizer, and it makes you equal to or greater than the criminal. Connie has a purse that she's going to display that is designed specifically for concealed weapons. This is a purse that when Connie goes to the store and she opens it up and takes out her credit cards and her cash, remember, the criminals are watching, they're walking behind her, and if they look in her over her shoulder and see her purse or American Express card, they're going to say, easy target. What they may do is call the guy who's sitting in the pickup car out in the mall and say, attractive blonde red purse. Now, when they approach Connie, she has a tool that is obscure. It's a concealed carry purse. It has a specific pocket that allows her to take that firearm out. Now, they didn't know she had it. At that point in time, she's got a tool that makes her equal to or greater than, and the element of surprise is hers. It's
and
hers
the access is right there for you. You don't have to fumble around in your purse.
Right.
And
also, if you see on Connie's purse, she has a unit strapped onto it. We do a lot of training in OC pepper foam. OC pepper foam is a non-lethal product that if you spray somebody in the face, it'll take away their vision, it'll take away their breathing. And I look at it this way, if you can't get away from somebody who can't see and breathe, you're not doing your part.
Well, and I wear it on my purse as a deterrent. It's sort of a marketing tool. When the bad guys are checking out who's vulnerable, they see your pepper foam on your purse. They're going to think you've probably had some training and possibly go and choose someone else. And when you're walking to your car, wherever, it's right here. And again, you can just bring it right up. And our product that Dan designed, you just put your thumb in there and squirt and depress it, and then the foam comes out and, fogs.
It's got about a range of about 10, 12 feet.
Right.
Listen, 10, 12 feet gives you enough time to get away from somebody.
Exactly. So you have a little more confidence with you, especially shopping at night, going off for dinners, maybe having drinks. This way you have something with you, you have easy access to it, and it's immediate and it's effective. And this is what we call a remote control tool before they actually get into your space.
Right. Well, it sounds to me like you've been talking about two things that for me in the military, one is situational awareness.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then basically taking a risk assessment, and then basically then actually a third thing in terms of making a plan of what your strategy would be, and and then using it if you need to.
Absolutely. And Dan calls it the 3 R's: recognize, respond, resolve, which is exactly, Keith, like you were saying, from the military mindset. And we sort of incorporate that mindset into our awareness training.
Right. I liken it to driving a car. You get in the car, lock the door, put the seatbelt on, drive down the street. You have no control over any of the other drivers. If the guy in front of you all of a sudden slams on his brakes, his taillight said to you, I recognize I've got a problem. He's stopping, I'm not. Now, your response might be to step on the brake, or your response might be to step on the gas. It all is determined by everything that's going on around you. If you avoid the accident, you've resolved the situation. And that takes place in 3 to 5 seconds. And that's the reality of a crime scene. A crime scene at most lasts about 90 seconds. 911 response time is 26 minutes.
Wow.
I'd
like to hear more about that.
You've got to do the math, You have got to be able to, when Connie goes shopping, she understands she's attractive, she's blonde, she stands out in the crowd. And so she's aware when she's shopping of people, if she sees the same guy at Neiman Marcus, same guy at Belk, same guy at JCPenney, that's a little bit of coincidence. So it puts her mind in a higher level to say, what's going on here.
Or if they're following you home. When you leave a parking situation or you leave a dinner and you're driving home, be aware again of, looking in your rearview mirror. Check the drivers. We had an incident that a young lady was approached. She was out to lunch with her girlfriends, and rejected their invitation, and left. And she went grocery shopping, and he stalked her, and she was assaulted. And
she went
so
shopping,
you
and
never
she walked
know.
up to her car. He came up behind her, grabbed her, and dragged her into his van, which was parked right next to her car. So again, situational awareness. Be aware of what's around you as you're approaching your car.
Right.
If you're approaching your car and you see something that you're not comfortable with, go back in the store and get security to walk you out to your car. Matter of fact, I tell people, especially this time of year, for people with young kids with car seats, okay, if you can't leave the kids at home, then take a teenager with you, okay? So you go to do your grocery shopping and everything, and now you leave your teenager and your children in the cart in the store. You don't even walk out with your purse, you walk out with your key in your hand. So now if I'm a predator in the parking lot and I see this single woman doesn't have a purse, doesn't have not much of an interest. So now I go get in my car, I pull up in front of the store, get out, lock the door, babysitter comes out, we down, all right, so fine. Right. Now when I pull out, I make sure if somebody's pulling out behind me, I'm aware of it. So it really comes down to the mindset, and it says, okay, it can happen to me. And I've been in this business for close to 30 years, and the one thing that every victim I've ever dealt with, the one thing that every one of them shares in common, is each of them said, I did not think it would happen to me. And that's what the criminals expect.
Right.
The element of surprise is theirs once. Your job, Connie's job, is if they choose her, is to say, you've chosen the wrong person.
Right. So, and you were talking about that the mindset of the criminal is that you're inventory.
Oh, yes.
They don't really care.
Sure.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on?
Well, they don't care. Well, when a criminal goes out to commit a crime, okay, they got an 80% chance of never getting caught. If they happen to fall into the 20% of stupid ones, 12% of them will ever go to jail. So there's not much downside to the crime side. Now, understand, I don't ever want to spend a day in jail. But if I'm a criminal, I'm just going to go out and look for I'm looking for somebody who's available, accessible, vulnerable, and like that purse says, has something of value. Most of the mass shootings that have been such a tragedy in this country have taken place in gun-free zones. Gun-free zones are zones that do not allow people to carry a firearm. I try to avoid those like the plague, because that is a host for crazy people. I mean, when I go to the bank, I have an issue because I can't carry a gun in the bank legally. So when I get out of my car to do my commercial banking and walk across the parking lot, I'm vulnerable because the criminals understand that I'm not armed. So it goes to the whole mindset. And while we're talking, this is a Christmas, we're going to have a Christmas party, okay? Mm-hmm. When we have the Christmas party, we got our house ready for the Christmas party. Talk about the prescription situation, Connie.
Well, a lot of people have been telling me from the past Christmas parties that they've attended, the hostess has told them, I have to remove all of my prescription drugs because I have had problems with people coming into my home and stealing my prescription drugs. And, naturally you always want to put your valuables away. You want to put things up. And the real estate agents have been telling us also when they're showing homes, they advise their clients, be sure to put your prescription drugs away. So this is one kind of a situation where that's targeted when you have people coming into your home.
Well, and we can even go one step further. Take your checkbooks and put those away. I had a situation with Connie's mother where we had somebody come in the house and do some furnace work or whatever, and we were going through a checkbook, and in the back of her checkbook was a check that was missing. So it would have been months before we would have noticed it. That guy had all the information. He could have gone online. So anything that links you personally, you've got to protect yourself. And when you open your home to a Christmas party, I think it's important to have a Christmas list, know who's coming, but understand if you were coming and you were bringing a friend, I might know you, but I might not know your friend.
Right.
And it's not that I don't trust anybody. It's that I don't trust anybody. So I make myself a hard target. And I put myself in a situation where I don't have to deal with it after the fact. And the whole thing about it is it's not difficult, but it takes a little planning. That's the self-protection side of it, the preemptive. It's kind of like we're gonna have a beautiful Christmas tree and everything. Well, people like to leave their windows open so people can see the Christmas tree. Well, criminals driving through the neighborhood can see the Christmas tree and the Christmas presents. So again, I would tell people, if you're gonna have a party, if you're gonna have walk around your house at night and see what you can see. I would suggest people do that anytime because it's frightening what people can see between blinds, shades, curtains, people in their bedrooms getting dressed, and so on and so forth. They're not as secure as they think they are. So it's not about fear and paranoia. It's accepting the reality of, it's the 21st century. I grew up in the 50s and 60s. We used to keep our doors unlocked. We had screen windows, I didn't have to worry about my mother going to the gas station. That's changed. I tell Connie when she goes to the gas station to take her purse, put it on the driver's seat, make sure the doors are locked, stand at the gas pump with her hand on the pump until it's done. What we're seeing is kids driving into gas stations, pulling up to the passenger side where a woman's pumping gas. Kid will get out and sneak around, open the door, reach in, grab the purse, hop in the car, and take off. And the woman's back there pumping gas, totally oblivious to it. So as we go into the 21st century and move in, we've got to upgrade our concern. We talk about holiday travel, okay? Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to travel this holiday because we've got a lot of commitments. But what concerns me is these people who go off and they send their pictures from the Fiji Islands, having a great time at the Sandal Hotel. Criminals are going, hey, listen, their house is empty.
Or their
Thanks.
children. Their children
are. It's more often the children.
On social
Right.
media.
Yeah. I've always, we were told as kids that when you go out of town, you have the mail stopped and you have the newspaper stopped. That was then, this is now. I don't have the mail stopped because if the mailman is driving through my neighborhood and not stopping at my house day after day after day, the people who are following the mailman know that they're not stopping because I'm not home. Same thing as if I ship something to somebody. If I ship something to my sister in Rochester, New York, I won't ship it to her home. I'll ship it to her office. Why? Because this is the time of year when predators follow UPS trucks around. And if a UPS truck, and the guy's all he's going to do, run up, stick it on the front porch, boom, gone. Predator waits 2 minutes, runs up, takes the package, gone. Now, the homeowner doesn't know something's missing because he wasn't expecting anything. You see, so it's really it's a mindset. That's why I've been in business as long as I have, because the criminals keep working hard. real big time for home invasions, because we open our homes to, we open our homes to people. There was one in Charlotte just recently where a guy went to the door to get a delivered package, opened the door, and the guy was not a delivery man. It was a home invasion. I won't open my door to somebody I don't know. And if I do, I'm armed. And it's not because I'm afraid, it's not because I'm paranoid. When Connie goes to the door, she has at least a can of pepper foam mounted right by the door. And if all of a sudden she is not comfortable, what are you going to do?
Oh, I'll just use my pepper foam. I'll just foam him down.
I mean, and that will buy her time to get out of Dodge.
Because they've already started to come in, and this way, being, again, a remote control tool, you'll stop them. Because obviously, if they want to gain entry into your home, they have a plan. Well, I do too.
And the sad part about there's a home invasion in this country every 12 seconds. And 60% of them also end up in the person getting raped. And it's gotten very, very brutal out there. And so my concern is not so much for people like Connie and myself because of our age. My concern is for my 17-year-old granddaughter. Because the way this country is headed, by the time she gets to be our age, it's not going to be the great country that it was when you and I grew up. And shame on us.
Yeah. Well, it's very
Shame
true.
on us.
Yeah.
None of us are going to get off this earth alive. I understand that. I don't have a problem with that. But I don't want to go at the hand of some 17-year-old crackhead.
Right. Well, we've been talking about a great number of things. They're all very important to understand. You've shared 3 things that I hadn't thought about. And I'm sure for our guests, that's the same thing. Now, again, you do so much. Our audience, though, we're talking about older people. Now,
Yes.
what sort of, I'm getting older too, but
older people are targets because of their age, and they're getting a little slower, a little weaker, and they're also prone to phone scams. That's a real big issue this time of year, that they're prone to phone scams because they're susceptible. They didn't have phones when they were little kids. So again, we look at an older generation, and I tell, I just buried my dad, who's 93 years old. My dad used to walk 10 miles every day. My dad carried pepper foam with him, and he used it one time to stop a rabid fox. Do you know how happy I was that he had that with him? Because I don't imagine at 80-some-odd years old, a rabies test would have been a lot of fun. And yes, we are addressing it to an older generation. And the older generation, we all grew up in a different country, different time. And I tell these people not to be afraid. Mm-hmm. Be prepared. Look at what makes sense for you. And understand that because of your gray hair or your no hair or whatever, you stand out in a crowd, you might make yourself more of a target because of your age. Also, older people are usually a little bit more financially stable, so they probably have more to steal.
Good point.
So it really comes down to looking at your station in life, the age in your life, and saying, what is there about me that makes me a person of interest? Identify it. Look at the things that are what I call chinks in your armor and fix them. Close your windows. Before Connie and I headed over to the studio today, I went to one end of the house and I turned on the radio to talk news talk radio. I went to the other end of the house and I turned on news talk television. Loud enough so somebody outside of my house who might be casing the joint would think, wow, there might be people in here, and that sounds like something a guy would listen to. Maybe I'll go next door. Maybe I'll go across the street. So maybe I've avoided becoming a victim while I'm doing the studio just by how I thought of myself.
Sure. Well, again, you're basically not letting them think that you're an easy target.
That's all it comes down to. Criminals are not brave. They're not strong. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to get caught. They don't want to get arrested. So that's why they're looking for people who are easy targets. And of course, Connie, being a woman, presents herself as an easy target just because of her female issues. Okay? I would pity the fool that would pick on Connie.
Yeah.
I would. I would, because I've spent a long time training her, and now I'm confident and comfortable that I don't have to worry about her.
And we train a lot of women's groups, a lot of moms group, a lot of seniors, a lot of the corporate Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. But we have Girls Night Out that we're starting out with in 2015. So hopefully we will continue to empower and keep all of our people
And I
safe.
welcome any of your viewers to contact me. I really do. I know the information will come up on the TV. I mean, we do church groups, we do Girl Scout groups, we do senior citizens. We have a program called Sassy Seniors, you know, and it's really, it's empower. And I don't like the word empowered. It's been beaten to death.
Yeah.
But when I say it, everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know, I don't want anybody watching this show to be frightened. I want people watching this show to say, Dan was talking to me. This is what my wife and I need to do. This is what I need to get my children to do, or my grandchildren.
Right.
And that's what it is. Really, what we specialize in is knowledge. Knowledge and equipment and thought process that says, okay, I'll do everything I can to avoid, but I'll do one more thing. I need to survive. Connie and I are so thankful that you invited us to come in and talk about this, because, as you can see, we have such a passion for this subject.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to
truly
guess.
do. We truly do, and we're so
what you're doing
honored
is
that
very
you
important.
invited us.
Very important, because just the fact that for our viewers primarily, we're getting older. And
yeah.
we may not be as sharp, but on the other hand, we still have a lot of living to do, and we do not want to be victimized.
Well put.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, I thank you for the opportunity and encourage any questions from the viewers.
Well, thank you for being on, and we look forward to having you again. And again, we hope that you, the viewers, will consider the safety issues that they've shared with us tonight about their own personal safety. So again, thank you very, very much.